Welcome to the Hive Summit for 2019. I am super excited to be bringing this to you. I'm Michael Matera, and if this is your first time in the Hive Summit, welcome. We are so excited to have you. And, I want you guys to stay connected through these emails. You're going to be getting to hear all the wonderful other presenters coming up. But today our kickoff presenter is a leader, a visionary, and a disruptor who not only brings her best to everything she does, she brings out the best in all of us. She is creating and leading a change in education. She's been doing that for over 30 years, from grade school to graduate school. With a passionate message to share with the world, she began a movement that took her message to 60,000 classrooms across 100 countries to help find new ways to ignite the genius within us, within all of us. She is not only armed with her passionate message about you mattering, but she also has a degree in education, neuroscience, as well as educational leadership to help her message get out to the world, to all of us. Not only does she do events like the Hive Summit, but she also has written 8 books, and she is recognized as one of the more influential voices on social media today. She is an active contributor to the Huffington Post and a TEDx speaker. I am happy. I am ecstatic to have Angela Maiers with us in the Hive Summit. So welcome, Angela.
Well, it is an honor to be here. It is exciting. I want to say that you matter and that I'm really proud of you for doing what you're doing and bringing this community, because it isn't just content. You're bringing this community to our community. And I'm so excited for what August brings, not only for new voices to emerge, but for people to make connections that they might not have. So kudos to you for being brave and doing this, because it's a lot of work and people don't realize how much work goes in orchestrating it. And it's just an honor to be a part of it. But I'm really proud of you for doing it.
Well, thank you. I am, like I said, super jazzed to get your message here because, like you said, August, this is a great time. This is a time of sort of renewal. We're starting to put our eyes towards the classroom, and what a refreshing time to be in, and an exciting time. And we got great lineup. But like your message, I think, to kick us off is just that it's going to set the right tone. And I'm so excited to have you here. So I guess if there is somebody out there that doesn't know your message yet, let's start there. I find that hard to believe that somebody wouldn't know this, but let's hear it from you.
The message is simple but profound. You matter. So I just want those words to resonate for just a second. You matter. They hit you in a way that is different from really any other words. They're different than I'm proud of you. They're different than I love you. They're different than I'm even happy that you're in my life. They are DNA-driven dialogues. And it is something that we assume that we know about one another, but it is absolutely a message of urgency, not necessarily a message of inspiration. Inspiration might be the consequence of it, but it is a message that is our deepest, most essential truth, that we matter, not only to our kids, to each other, but we matter to the world because of who we are, not because of what we do.
I mean, like you said, like you kicked it off like a simple, clean concept, but it cuts right to the core, right?
It does, doesn't it? It cuts right to your soul.
It does, and you feel it there. Like, exactly. I mean, like when you say it, I'm like, yes. It feels.
When I'm in the room with people, if I had the room, one of the first actions that I have people to take to prove this is not an ego thing, that it's a DNA thing, is I have people say each other's name, and tell each other that they matter. And it can be the most engaging, exciting room in the world, or a room that's dead silent. Every single time, it doesn't matter who is in the room, the energy in the room palpably changes. Sure. This isn't just something that we're making up. This is deep, deep, deep embedded in our DNA. We need to know we matter. We don't just simply desire or even deserve to know. We need to know.
Yeah, I mean, right? I mean, not to go on too big of a tangent, but I mean, I'm a history teacher, and I think so much that we're tribal by nature. We're you need to not only feel a part of something, but you need to
That's
feel
right.
that like you matter to that, that
That's
you
100.
are a piece, not just a part,
Yes.
you are a piece to
You
that
are an
community.
essential piece. I would add the word essential in front of that. And
Yeah.
it's the feeling that we're not essential, the feeling that we don't matter, that is the most dangerous thing that we can experience as an individual or as an organization. And it is an invisible dilemma. It's an invisible challenge because mattering is one of our essential needs. So we need food and water and shelter and air, and
Sure.
if any one of those essentials are missing in our life, or even less than in our life, we will ask a complete stranger. We will tell a complete stranger, oh, I'm starving. I haven't eaten. Can you tell me where the nearest restaurant is? Or right here beside me is water, because I know that I have more energy when I sleep, when I drink, when I eat the right amounts of things, and I take it as a responsibility to take care of my well-being. We need to treat our worthiness in that same category. We are in charge of it. And as an educator, it is more than just a responsibility, it is our mission, because we cannot teach, we cannot lead, we cannot change lives and change the world, which is what our job is, if we come to that work from a place of unworthiness. And we have to step up, or we are not going to be our best selves and it will limit our ability to help others become their best selves.
So I guess like let's dive in this. Like
Yeah.
what I'm hearing you sort of say, and I want to make sure I'm getting it. I want to make sure everyone else is getting it. What
Yes.
you just sort of said there is, I don't know, I guess it was surprising to me. It's not just about being validated outside yourself.
Right.
It's about an inner like
100%.
understanding that like you
Yeah.
matter, like you need to bring this. So
That's right.
it's not just the validation of somebody else noticing what you do. That is definitely a part of it, and that's communal,
Definitely
and
a part of it.
we can talk about that. But like,
Yep.
it's interesting that you're leading here with more of an internal presence, like an internal
Absolutely.
understanding, and do you, I guess, in your work, in your times, do you have either a story? Do you have like a thing that you can? I'm sure you have tons of stories. That's
Yeah.
probably the wrong way to
You're
cue that
living
up.
it every single day. You're living. So if you break down from a scientific background, what we would call the science of mattering, I wouldn't say it's a hierarchy like Maslow's, because but they're elements of the DNA that makes up our soul and our soulfulness. The
Sure.
ability to be noticed by another person is definitely a component part of mattering. The ability to feel as if you are seen, truly seen, and you are heard by another person. The ability to feel like you not only have value, but you know exactly what value you bring. But the deepest driver of human behavior and the deepest core of mattering is the knowledge that you're essential to someone else. And it is that drive that we need other people. So it's both internal and external, because we get validated. Our mattering quotient goes up the more that we get feedback that who we are and what we do matters to other people. So, yes, it's internal, but it's also driven by what we do and who we bring to the world and how the world is impacted by that.
I like this. So it is definitely like it's cyclical, right? Like
Yeah, it is.
it's going to
It
feed
is.
itself, which I
Yeah.
guess maybe it on the flip side of you matter, if you aren't doing that, if you aren't thinking that way, it also could be like a negative cycle then, right? I mean,
Oh,
right, like
every ailment, whether it's societal or it is personal, has its foundations in our perception of our own significance. Everything from apathy to agony and everything in between is a consequence of whether we believe and perceive that we matter to someone else. So this has not only emotional impact, it has economical impact. For the first time ever, the World Economic Forum selected significance to be the global pandemic that they are putting the minds together for. Not global warming or not, air pollution or whatever it is, but people's struggle with their own significance and value, and the cause and relationship to that with mental health, mental wellness, happiness, and everything that goes along with it. But at the foundation of all of that is if we know we matter, all of those things take care of themselves.
All right, so we kind of thinking through this,
Yeah.
and you in your sort of experience from, kindergarten to
Yeah.
college,
Yep.
and also your educational leadership sort of
Yeah.
background. What are some tips? Because here at the Hive Summit, we have anywhere from counselors to first grade
Yep.
teachers to the
Absolutely.
superintendents here. What are some of the things that maybe externally can happen? What are some things that maybe those new principals or even those old
Absolutely.
principals do to maybe get that ball rolling of the You Matter
Absolutely.
sort of movement in their schools?
So it starts with understanding that mattering is not only essential and is an essential need, it is also a choice. You can't make someone else matter. It is something that you have to choose in terms of how you're going to present and enter yourself into the world and in relationships with other people. And so the first choice that you make when another person is present is to be present, is to actively notice and note that you have a human being in front of you without labels, without the hierarchies that exist, even the subtle ones, like whether this person is important because of what they do or what they have done. That has to go away. That the person sitting in front of you, regardless of their age, regardless of their accomplishments, has value, period. They're enough, period. So that's a hard thing to get your head around because we prioritize the intensity of our presence based on what people do, based on the perception that value is something that you earn, not something that you that is your birthright. So mattering is your birthright. You have value, period, as a human being. And if we understand and interact with everyone as if they mattered, guess what? They begin to believe they do. So the first, I guess, concrete step is notice the people in your presence. Notice and note them. Take 5 minutes, put down your phone, look
Yeah.
people in the eyes, say their names. Now, these seem like really rudimentary, very basic practices, but I'm going to say this probably multiple times. Common sense does not equal commonplace and common practice. Common sense does not equal commonplace and common practice. It is very easy to get disrupted and distracted in our own lives, in our own pursuit. But it is how we act and behave in the presence of others that truly comes back to us and makes us ultimately feel essential. When you make someone else feel like they were noticed and noted. So that's one concrete step. Three,
I have to share a
yeah,
story here
please.
where
Yeah.
you're talking about like admin here, like just taking a moment to notice and note. And I want to give a shout out to a new admin at my school. His name's
Yeah.
Brad Dunning. I was leaving the lunchroom, headed up to go teach a
Yeah.
class, and he caught me on the stairs, and he was headed to his office. So like we're a good 15 feet away, and my back's to him, and he says, "Hey, Mr. Matera," and I like turn
Yeah.
around, and I'm like, "What's up, Brad?" And he said, "Go get him." That's it. That's all he said. Go get him. But it was in
Took
that
2 seconds.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was in that moment
Two
that
seconds.
he like noticed. He reckoned. I
Yeah.
mean, that
That's right.
implied that he knows I'm going to go up there and I'm going to give
That's
my
right.
all to those kids, and it is going
That's
to be an amazing experience.
that's
And it
right.
and it took 2 seconds, and
2 seconds.
literally it like lifted my spirits for like weeks.
Exactly. And that without you maybe even being conscious that you most likely paid it forward, said
Oh,
notice, took 2 seconds with someone else that day, even if it's just for that day or 5 minutes
hundred
follow.
percent.
It is contagious. It is contagious. Absolutely.
Well, it goes
So
back. It
I
goes back to that cycle you're talking about, because then I just got like lifted, and
yeah,
then like
yeah.
I want to
Stand
lift
up
that
a
I
little
want to
bit
lift
taller.
that next person.
Oh, we don't realize, even in this very visible world where everything we do and everything we say is public, we still feel invisible. So if you think back to why kindergarten is such a powerful place for young people, where is the kindergarten teacher when the students enter the room?
That's, I mean, it's 100% relational.
100%. She's waiting at the door.
I
He's
mean,
waiting at the door with open arms. And the thing that I didn't know until I left being a kindergarten teacher is that I didn't do it because I knew the science behind greeting my kids. I did it because they demanded it. They demanded that that essential need will be met. I
sure.
will be noticed. I will be heard. I will be valued. And I will find an essential way to be a part of this classroom, whether it is clapping the erasers on the chalkboard, which my kindergartners used to do, or carrying the milk tub, or being the lunch counter, or flipping the chairs on top of the desk, whatever it was. It was the act of being essential in the community. We had jobs. So if the world ran like a kindergarten classroom, if businesses ran like a kindergarten classroom, all of these essential needs would be taken care of because they don't have any other construct. They're not trying to show off. They're not trying to be arrogant. They have an essential need to be noticed, to be valued, to be heard, and to find a way to be essential to each other and to you. And
That reminds me of it kind of
yeah,
conjures up memories of Simon Sinek, like where he's trying to sort of
yeah,
create a better world, and he's like trying to like teach and coach leaders
that's
to
right.
design systems in which it really revolves around the
That's right.
relationship. It revolves around the fact that like you are not just a seller of widgets, you are
That's
a
right.
person first,
That's right.
and I
Well,
need to care
see,
for that, and the
I went
widgets will take care of themselves, like in the end.
100%, 100%. And it cuts across every industry. So I was just in this restaurant last week and people were waiting outside. It didn't open till like 5:30 and people were waiting outside in the city all around the block. And I'm like, well, God, is the food that great? Like has no advertising. Like it looks like it was in part of an industrial thing. There's no like flashing sign. There's no like big billboard, zero branding at all. So you walk in the restaurant, it's kind of like a little hole in the wall. It doesn't have a fancy name. And you walk in, and the owner of the company, not just the manager of the store, the owner of the company stands at the door and greets every single customer when they come in. And he did that all night. I, of course, had to go over and interview him and connect with him and talk to him about why he did that because I've never seen that. So if you think about at a regular restaurant, even a highfalutin fancy restaurant, you've got impersonal greeters who may or may look up from their desk, don't greet you as a person. They're like, how many are in your party? So they're already onto the business. Like, you got 4 in your party. Do you want a
Yep.
booth seat or a window seat? Okay, you'll be called in 45 minutes. Here's your little buzzer. Nope. It didn't matter how many people, and everybody was willing to wait outside in this little hole in the wall. He said he spends $0 on marketing, zero. And he's number 4 in the state, not the city, the state for restaurants in his category. 1000% because
Yeah.
people feel like they matter there. It didn't matter if you're a reoccurring customer or you were a brand new customer for the first time. And I was really tired that day and kind of grumpy that it didn't open and that we had to wait. And he noticed that. He's like, I want to see a smile on your face. I'm sorry you had to wait, but I think it's really important. I'd rather only be open amount of time and make sure that I let you know how much I appreciate. And my whole mood totally changed. The fact that he noticed that I wasn't like, my cheeriest self. I was like, I'm starving. Why are you guys not opening? What kind of restaurant doesn't open till 5:30 at night? So it was just stunning. But he ran his restaurant like my kindergarten classroom.
Hmm.
That's how you scale a better world. You do it one moment, 1 second at a time.
I love because that story. I mean, what you're saying, what it hits
Yeah,
upon is it's humanistic. I mean, again, you're just reminding all of us here in the hive that
that's right.
it's about seeing the person,
That's
like
right.
that moment where you
Right.
said that the greeter at the door is just
That's right.
straight to business. They've
Right.
like reduced you to like just a checklist of things they have to run
That's
through, and
And that's not even bad customer service. We haven't even hit like the airlines yet or any other, really nightmare retailer. And brands, individuals, and we are a brand as educators, as teachers, as our classroom. We do not understand this is deep, deep science underneath this. Deep, deep, deep science. Dan and Chip Heath have a brand new book out. They are the ones who wrote Made to Stick. Have you heard
Mhm.
that book?
I
Yeah.
love Made to
Incredible.
Stick and the Power of Moments is
Yeah,
another.
that's what it is, the power of moments.
Love
So
that book.
The
Probably my
science,
favorite read last year.
exactly, incredible. And it doesn't, and that's the key. I would say it's the power of milliseconds. It's not even moments anymore. We are down to understanding the part of our brain, the amygdala responds within 1 to 3 seconds. So you're talking about 1 to 3 seconds of an interaction with somebody can change your whole mood. It can change your entire mind, and it can absolutely, if done consistently, change your life and change the world. And I see that when you say you have a story, every minute of my day is
Is
a
a story.
story of what a single moment does for a human being in a world where we're diminished to not feeling human all the time.
So I'm curious if you may have already answered this
Yeah.
if we just sort of tweak it,
Yeah.
but I kind of want to ask it anyways. I asked you for the administrator, like what could they do, and you kind of
Right.
said like noticing and taking note, take five
Yeah.
minutes, take 2 seconds, say two words
Right.
to one of your staff members.
That's right.
Um, but now, I mean,
Out front.
we have
Yeah.
plenty of teachers here,
Right.
so we have that same impact. We every day, like we could be that person. We could be that informal greeter that's
That's right.
just like, did you do your homework? Are you seated? Are you
That's right.
quiet? Are you taking these notes? Do you have your notebook? I could
Right.
just do the same thing, checklist for all the students.
Over and over and over.
So I guess I just want you to speak to like
Yeah.
what power,
Yeah.
like
Those moments.
positive power, not like political,
No,
like
absolutely.
just a
We're the most
tremendous
influential.
opportunity we have every day.
Yeah, we are the most influential people in our students' lives, barring their parents. Not barring, we're not in competition with them, but we actually see them for more hours than many of them spend with their actual mom and dads. So if you think about it's the same advice is that our greatest gift, our greatest influence comes from our purposeful presence. And I mean purposeful because it is really hard to be present. So I'm not asking a teacher to be fully present with every child every day. But if you go to peak moments or what scientists call primacy and recency, then it is the first 2 to 20 seconds and the last 2 to 20 seconds of any interaction that you have with another human being that will imprint the most, not only in their brain, but in their heart and in their soul. So you honor everyone that comes into your presence, and your goal is to leave them better than when they enter. And so you leave them feeling better, seeing better, knowing better because they were noticed and heard and valued. And it literally takes seconds.
Wow. I mean, like, what a call to action that you're asking us to
So
do here,
very
right?
action.
Like,
And
that's
you
awesome.
can't do that if you're tired, if you're hungry, if your tank is empty, if you don't feel noticed and valued and essential. So we can't do this big job. We can't hinder or heed that calling and challenge if we are entering the world or our classroom from a place of unworthiness, where we're doubting and wrestling with our own significance and our own worthiness. So, out of duty and responsibility, we have to show up every day our full best selves. And that's all they want. They're not asking for perfection, they're asking for presence. So, a research study I did for South by Southwest about 4 years ago, I think, or 5 years ago, we asked 500,000 kids, kindergarten through 12th grade, one question: what would make you run to school? And unequivocally, it didn't matter what zip code, it didn't matter what state, it was, I just want to matter, which translates into, I just want to be noticed. I just want to be valued. I just want you to recognize that if I wasn't here, this classroom, this world would be less than. And so when we broke that down, what that actually meant in action were simple things like smile at me, say my name, remember something special about me. Like kids reported, like, my teacher knew what my birthday was. My teacher knew, whatever, something that has nothing to do with academics and everything to do with who they were as a human being. And it wasn't things that accomplishments like, I made the touchdown in the football game. It was pure human, I exist to you, and you notice that. And it is stunning how simple that is, and yet how out of practice we are because our minds
Yeah.
are pulled in a lot of different ways.
I,
It's not a criticism. It's
no,
human nature to
but
be busy.
I totally, but I think
Yeah.
something that you're reminding us of, and that many of us need practice on, and I know you've spoken about it in some of your blog posts and
Yeah.
other spaces, but that you you want some level of specificity, right?
Yes.
It cannot just be like great job.
Right.
Like
Right.
that is like the verbal equivalent of like just a generic
You're
sticker.
fine.
You know, like and
Rather somebody say nothing than to say, yeah, you look fine. Yeah, that's okay.
right. So
It's
you know, take that extra moment, like you're
yeah,
saying, that power of noticing,
yes.
and then take that you noticed, you know it.
It
So
is
now share that
notice.
extra bit. So
Yeah,
like you did a great job, and then
that's right.
insert on what or how that
That's right.
impacted it.
That's right.
Uh, and
Go
I'll
back to
I'll
5-year-olds because 5-year-olds are the embodiment of how human beings act naturally before the world gets involved. Or 3-year-olds, or just watch young children. And when they want you to notice, it's really simple things like, did you not see that I have bangs today? Like, I have bangs, and yesterday I didn't. And then, like, did you not notice today my shoes are purple? And yesterday they were blue, and my barrette's on this side. And they're not doing it because they're egocentric. They're doing it because it is a tangible, concrete acknowledgement of their existence, and that somebody noticed something small, which means they notice the big stuff too. And it is really amazing. Like, you can ask any person in a relationship, like, you got a new tie. Like, I noticed, like, you look so happy and spiffy and
sure.
handsome, like in a good way. Like if you took time to do that, and it's not about physical looks, it's about your presence and all that you do to embody that presence. Or you notice that somebody, like, I one of the things I noticed at the airport was, like, it was a really bad delayed, and one of the customers really kind to the customer service rep, and I complimented him on that, because not many people are patient when it comes to something really stressful and extraordinary. And so we can practice becoming more conscious and compassionate noticers.
100%. I
But it
love
takes
that.
practice.
It
Yeah,
takes practice, but
yeah.
guys, like you definitely get more with honey, right? Like be a little
Oh,
sweet, be a little kind.
totally. Totally.
Uh,
Totally.
I will say for anybody that's delayed on a flight or something didn't go
Oh,
well on a flight, try being nice to those people behind the desk. Also, like I actually just started tweeting the company, but not in
yes,
like a complaining sort of way. I'm like, "Hey Delta, I'm currently stuck. Like anything you can do." And then
right.
Delta will actually respond really
That's
quick.
exactly right.
And then I just continued to be nice, and over the time they're like,
Can I
"Thank you."
help you?
Yeah,
Right.
like thank you. Like
No, you
let me
feel
help
like
it. Like
these worlds open up to you, which is both stunning and scary. That it really is just about saying hi to people and being, I mean, shouldn't that be the foundational expectation of our civility, our entrance into humanity? And we have lost all sense of that. And we've lost sense of, and I hear so much that we blame all of this on technology. Technology is neutral, it is an amplification of human behavior. And if we aren't conscious about our human behavior offline, then it just amplifies online. So people aren't feeling invisible because they're using social media. They were feeling invisible when they went to social media and hoping that that will fill the gap. What fills the gap is real, authentic, pure human interaction. It
all right,
is,
so like another thing that you sort of talk about in your work is you've talked about noticing, but
yes,
I know you've also sort of borrowed a really powerful sort of statement and question from Seth Godin in his book Lynchpin,
yes,
and
yes.
this idea of like a
He's my
genius.
mentor, and like, he inspires me all the time.
I'm a super big fan. I've read every single one of his books. Can't say that I've read every single blog post because he's written a lot. He's
Yes,
written a
he
lot.
has. Yeah, yeah.
But he's I don't know, he's amazing.
Yes,
But
yes,
you borrowed this question about genius
yes.
and sort of saw its power in the classroom. I
Yes.
guess one, kind of tee that up for us.
Yep, absolutely. So Seth defines genius in modern terms as an individual's ability to use their gifts to make an impact, an individual and organization's ability to solve a problem in the way that it hasn't been solved, and an individual or organization's ability to use what their deepest purpose is to move forward something better in the world, or to share their gifts openly with no expectation of reciprocity. And according to that definition, and the one that I've synthesized, that describes every human being. The idea underlying is that genius is not some anomaly. Genius is a really misunderstood concept that we've created to be some rarity. Like, you have brown eyes and you have blue eyes and you have innate talents and gifts that have the capability to do these things or more, which is absolutely erroneous. Average is the anomaly. You can't be mediocre every day, every minute of the day. There's a moment where you are able to do something that even surprises yourself. The challenge is those moments are fleeting, and very few people dig in to those moments because our systems are built to contain average, to help us form identities of what's above or below average according to very, very narrow standards. And so my favorite definition, like, I've been studying the definition of genius as it's evolved since 1600s. And my favorite definition, which was written in 1604, was genius is the ability to capture and keep the spirit and soul of childhood all the way through adulthood. So that's everything that we're talking about.
Nice.
And so if you think of people, if you think of 5-year-olds and you describe a 5-year-old, all of those things, from passionate to fiercely adaptive, to curious, to tenacious, to everything imaginative, all of those things. The people that have kept those attributes and applied them in their adult work and world are considered genius.
Mm-hmm.
And genius is your birthright. You were born with the capabilities to do that. We just were educated out of it.
Yeah. What I like about it is this empowerment, that this and I mean, maybe more than an empowerment, this responsibility.
Yeah,
Really, like,
it is.
there is
100%.
uniqueness that I have, that you have, that they
Yep,
have, that every member here at the Hive Summit has something unique
that's
about
right.
them
That's right.
at every given moment, actually.
Yes,
And it is kind of like, it is your duty to sort of
it is.
bring
You have
that
a
out.
obligation. So think of why a 5-year-old comes up to a stranger in a grocery store and says, "I'm a dinosaur expert. I'm a dinosaur expert." It isn't because they're trying to show off. They truly feel morally obligated that if
To
they
share that
were
out.
gifted to understand what it is that they've come to know about dinosaurs, and they keep that to themselves, they are not a very good citizen. It almost physically hurts them to keep stuff inside. It should physically hurt us, soulfully hurt us, to hesitate and hide and hold in our God given talents that the world desperately needs. And
Now,
that's what we've been taught to do.
what I like to, and I don't remember where I got this from your work. I can't remember. I'm quoting you, but not certain where. But it's you. Is you sort of say, when you ask for genius, it
Yeah,
tends to show up.
that's right.
And I I just I'm going to say it again
Yeah,
for the teachers and the
yeah,
administrators and the change agents that we all are and that we all can be. I want to say that again. When you ask for genius, it tends to show up.
yeah.
Like,
But I would add the caveat: genius needs a reason to show up. We are fighting our own biology and our system of mediocrity that is coveted and ingrained so deeply in the DNA of our culture that it it doesn't just pop out naturally. And so what I've done to what do I want to say? gently encourage genius to show up is give it a big, wicked, nasty, unsolvable problem to face that could not be addressed, could not be solved, could not be even moved without the full genius of not only an individual, but everyone in the room. And the more wicked the problem, the more significant the chance that multiple genius is going to show up. Think about the worst cases of human despair in our world, just in the last 5 years, whether that be a bombing at a marathon or an attack at a nightclub, or, for God forbid, a shooting in a school, a natural disaster from a flood to a fire to a hurricane. The worst situation that you can imagine, the best of humanity shows up.
Yeah.
Because that is our DNA drive to be essential. You don't ask for someone's resume when you're sitting next to them putting sandbags on a levee so that your city doesn't flood. Everybody, when they see a house on fire, jumps up and gives whatever they have inside of them. And most of the time, they discover something inside of themselves that they had no idea even existed.
Yeah.
You needed that.
What I want to definitely double back to, though, is this idea of when you ask.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes we lose sight of
Yes.
of just tremendously the opportunity we have to ask our students to. In my class, I always ask them to leave a legacy.
100%.
This is your time for me, a sixth grader. This is the only time you're ever going to get as a sixth grader. This is it. And this is my only time to leave a legacy for you as the sixth grader. And so if we both sort of show up, and it's kind of relates to this, right? When you ask them to show up, when you ask them to do the big thing, the hard thing,
they do it.
They do it
unequivocally.
But when you just kind of continue to do the humdrum, this is the work, do the work, study for the quiz, take the quiz. It's really important for your future way back there.
Yep.
Missed opportunity to connect, to be relational, to inspire.
Totally.
Both you and them.
And to live out your birthright. You were created for significance. You were born to make an impact. And you don't serve yourself and you don't serve the world by hiding that and holding it in and playing small. I was with 458 students, kindergarten through 11th grade, a couple days ago. And our topic was courage. And the opposite of courage is not cowardness. The opposite of courage is comfortability. So our brains, our bodies, our systems are wired to do things that we've always done, to not rock the boat, to stay in that zone of mediocrity. You have to choose brave. You have to choose comfort or courage. And the bigger request that you have, the bigger problem that you have to solve, and the louder somebody says to you, I need you. I cannot do this without you. I need all of you. I need your full, fiercest self. I said that to 450 kids, and they stood up and they stepped up and they're ready to lead. And they're working with the city, with the organization, with, I just talked to business leaders today where these leaders will be connecting and collaborating. And the business leaders are just, if you ask 450 adults to get outside their comfort zone, 450 adults to share a wild, crazy solution to a problem that a million others have tried to solve, to share a big dream or a big audacious idea, there would be absolute dead silence. And we cannot afford for the most passionate people in our world to be silent. When that happens, everyone loses. So it isn't about inspiring kids. It's not even about empowering them. It is about reminding them that as human beings, we have a responsibility to share our genius with the world, because the world is in desperate need of every kind of perspective and every kind of experience. And when we elevate our collective genius, there is literally no problem that can't be solved. And I'm not saying that in some warm, fuzzy way. I am witnessing that over and over and over. Problems that individuals have attempted, or small groups of people with narrow thinking and boundaries, it you can't compete with someone who believes that their contribution is needed by the world.
Yeah, what a powerful statement, right? You know, and I love the sort of interplay and interchange that you did between the sort of courage versus comfortability, like,
Yeah,
and just something I try to remind people as well in my work
yeah,
is the difference, like the difference between like what you want and what you are right now is typically the act of courage to get started.
that's right. It's
And
action. Yeah,
stepping away from average. I had a teacher, I still
right.
remember him, Bob Ross, like used to say, do not be great gobs of mediocrity. I
That's
still like it's in my head, great gobs of
great
mediocrity.
to mediocrity. That's what we have.
And
Well,
like you
Collins says, the reason we don't have great leaders, great organizations, great communities is because we have so many damn good ones. And
mhm.
good is the enemy of great.
Yeah, that
It's not
comfortability. But like to
right.
step away from that, to step away from
Yeah,
average it's not as
hard.
hard as you think.
Yeah,
Like I mean,
little
it's
steps.
it's it's hard to get started, but like once you
Yeah,
get started and you take that first step, you read that book, you try that
that's,
thing, you go to a conference and you
that's right.
actually try to
That's
have it impact you.
That's right. Action is the antidote. Action is the antidote to most everything. It fuels courage. It fuels passion. You don't have to have passion and courage and all that all wrapped up to take action. It is the act of taking one step out of your comfort zone that starts building those muscles that are required to do big, impactful work. And I think action is the antidote to agony. There's no better way through your pain than the ability to take action to prove to yourself, most importantly, how truly resilient and truly brave the human spirit is. What we are able individually and collectively to overcome is stunning. And to remind ourselves every day, like at this event that I did, um, we made a note and documented one time in our life where we stepped out of our comfort zone and took action when we were scared, because brave people are scared all the time. And then we put all those together and formed a courage chain of 500 individuals that we exist and are surrounded with every day. And it makes you brave that you're not only up there, but that there's so many examples of courage in action right in front of us, right in front of us.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many like quotes swirling in my head. I mean, I love Casey Neistat talks about action expresses priority. Like,
Right.
you know,
Oh, love that. Oh, that's so brilliant.
right?
Action expresses priority.
Yeah. So like,
Spot
where are we putting our stuff?
on.
I also think about like another quote, like this idea of like what you are to be, you are already becoming. It is the
That's
now. It's like, so
100%.
what are you doing now
And
to?
inaction is an action. Inaction is an action. It really is. And so it means your priority is comfortability.
That's right.
Your priority is being safe. And so one of my favorite videos that I show kids, and it's an old one, I don't even have the URL, I just have this 30-second clip, and I show kids all the time. And it's Steve Jobs as a very young man, even before Apple days. I mean, he doesn't even look recognizable. And he's reflecting on his own courageous journey as a leader. And he said, everything that you see the world to be and that you wished was created by individuals no smarter than you, no richer than you, no greater than you, no more visionary than you. It was created by people who believed that they were needed. And once you figure out that the world that you wish and the person you wish to be in that world is
100%.
a choice that you make, everything changes. And he recalls the moment where he looked around the world. And that's what I love so much about kids, because they don't see problems in the world or opportunities in the world and say, like, who's going to take care of that? Whose job is that? That's
Who's
not
gonna
my
get
job.
to that one?
Yeah, they're like, That is not okay. What are we going to do about it? And
Yeah.
their default is action. And it is what's beautiful about today is you don't need permission like you used to lead, to take action, to make an impact. You have a chance every second to do that. And I
Well,
don't you have to go
every
the
second
notch.
you have a choice to change your
Yeah,
default. And
that's
once you change that
exactly.
default,
Yeah.
then like action becomes the default.
That's exactly right.
And
And
when you
you can
connect it
tell
with
that.
your other messages of taking
Yeah.
notice in others, you're
Yeah.
building that greater community. You're
Yeah.
getting fulfilled by noticing others. Others start
That's right.
noticing you. And it just builds. It builds a great community.
Courage is contagious. It is 1000% contagious. So, surrounding yourself with people who their default is action is one of the most important things that we can do for kids. Because if we're not the model of the kind of learner and leader and citizen we wish them to be, kids will know that right away. They'll say, well, you're telling us to be brave, but you won't. Or you're telling us to take risks. You're telling us to handle failure, all the lessons that we tell them. But they need to be surrounded by other leaders. I don't care what age they are. And sometimes it's not their teacher. So the biggest thing that we can do for kids is be that leader and learner. The best predictor of how kids will engage with the world is how they see us engaging with the world. And therein lies that full circle of responsibility. If we wish them to enter the world with the deep, truthful understanding that they matter, that they have a genius, that the world is waiting for and the world needs, how can we build a community of individuals that are fulfilled and see their role as significant if we aren't that in front of them, if that's not how we engage with the world? So it is a huge responsibility.
That's a powerful message. And Angela, like, I just want to say huge thank
Thank
you
you.
for sharing your message, your words with us today in the Hive. I really hope everyone here really takes this message, applies it not only through the Hive Summit, but into next year, into the rest of their lives. This
Absolutely.
idea that they matter, the people around them matter, and that we have that responsibility to show up and create that change through our
Your
genius.
genius is needed by the world. And look at how you're fulfilling it. You're willing to work for all these hours to do all of this, not because you want accolades, even though you deserve them, but you're doing it because you understand this is needed for our community. This is essential. So you do things that you may not want to do, or you may be tired, or you may think you can't do, but when you know that it is valuable or has a chance to even provide value for another human being, you astound yourself. And so every person listening, every person participating has a gift inside of them, has something that can inspire somebody, can inform somebody, can lift somebody's spirit and mood, which we cannot underestimate. And you cannot for a second enter your classroom or the world doubting your own value. So when I say you matter, I am not trying to inspire you. I'm just reminding you of what you already should know. So thank you for letting me do that and making sure that every educator walks away, at least from this conversation, looking in the mirror at themselves a second time, saying, you know what? I actually do matter. There's no ego in that. No ego in that.
I mean, I truly hope that everyone feels that power that she has given us. She's empowered us, and we're ready. We're ready to do
Yes.
that. We're ready to
Now
take
you
that.
go change lives in the world.
That's
And you
right.
do that. You will do that.
And again, Angela, thank you so much for spending your time with us, sharing this powerful message. What a great kickoff message to the Hive Summit this year. And we got other presenters lined up, ready
Yes.
to come to you guys. And everyone, if you could be part of this community by participating on Twitter by using the hashtag Hive Summit. Also, you can connect doing some sketch notes, doing hashtag Hive Sketch,
That's
or
right.
spread the word. There's still plenty of conference left. invite others to this conference. All they have to
Yes,
do is go to
yes, yes.
hivesummit.org
And
and
connect with me and stay connected. Let this be the beginning of a conversation, not the end, like, oh, I watched that, I'm done. Let this be an invitation to you to share your genius with our community who is waiting anxiously and excitedly for everything that you have to share. Do not hesitate. Do not hold back. Be brave.
I love it. And lastly, if you guys, I just feel like I have to give this plug here on this one because about changing the world, something that's really passionate to me
Yeah.
about the Hive Summit is last year we started a Kiva fund to help people around the globe.
Oh, that's
Uh, so if you guys could donate to the Kiva fund, you'll see it on like every
awesome.
page, every email I send out has that link to the Kiva fund. Last year we raised thousands of dollars,
That
and
is
with your
great.
donation, it's teachers literally changing their lives and
That's
changing
right.
the lives of others. And it's
That's right.
super meaningful to me. So thank you guys for listening.
Thank
Thank you
you
for being here.
guys.
Like,
Enjoy the rest of the summit.
all
Thank
right,
you so much. Bye, everybody. Mwah. You
take
matter.
care.
I'm giving you a big hug.
Bye, guys. See you tomorrow.